The piercing screams echoing through the silent clinic leave many parents feeling utterly helpless and deeply bewildered. The panic-stricken look in a child's eyes upon seeing a white coat is not mere stubbornness, but a primal survival response. Have you ever wondered what is truly happening inside that fragile young brain when fear completely takes over reason? We see a kind doctor, but children see an intruder threatening their very sense of personal safety and boundaries. Through the lens of an adult, a clinic is for healing. But for a child, it's a maze filled with strange sounds and smells. Let's begin the journey of decoding the hidden world in a child's mind to understand and soothe these tiny, racing hearts. Our first chapter starts in the place most children dread, the doctor's examination room. The sharp smell of antiseptic immediately triggers the amygdala, the fear processing center in the child's brain. The sound of medical instruments clanking together creates a symphony of anxiety, causing the child's heart rate to skyrocket. The white coat is no longer a symbol of help, but becomes a warning signal of impending physical pain and discomfort. Every footstep of the doctor approaching feels like the rhythmic beat of a living nightmare manifesting in reality. Children feel a total loss of control when placed on a cold examination table, smelling strongly of chemicals. The sensation of a freezing cold stethoscope touching their skin makes the child flinch as if facing an alien creature. And then the ultimate terror appears. Sharp, shiny needles glistening under the bright, oppressive fluorescent lights. To a child, an injection is not medicine, but a direct physical assault on their small and vulnerable body. The helpless inability to resist causes stress levels to escalate into an uncontrollable flood of desperate tears. But why is this fear so powerful? Even when we try to explain everything with gentle and soothing words. It's because at this age, a child's logical reasoning is not yet developed enough to grasp the long-term benefits of healthcare. They live purely in the present moment, where pain and the feeling of being violated are the only things they perceive. To help them, parents can play doctor role-playing games at home, turning medical tools into harmless toys. Next, we step into another space that is equally terrifying for a young child: the profound darkness of the night. When the lights go out, a once warm and cozy bedroom suddenly transforms into a desolate wilderness full of lurking dangers. The sudden drop in visual input forces the child's brain to work at full capacity to fill in the void. Long shadows cast on the wall by trees outside suddenly become giant arms waiting to snatch them from their beds. A jacket hanging on a rack in the dim light looks exactly like a phantom standing perfectly still and watching them. The whistling wind through the window or the creaking floorboards is amplified dozens of times in their sensitive ears. Under the bed, where the darkness is thickest, the child's imagination paints monsters with razor-sharp fangs. Fear of the dark is actually a fear of the invisible and the unpredictable things in the very near future. Evolutionarily, our ancestors faced wild beasts in dark caves, and that instinct still lingers deep within our DNA. For children, darkness is synonymous with separation. The moment they feel most isolated and weak against the universe. When they can no longer see their parents nearby, children enter a state of high alert to protect themselves from threats. A small nightlight emitting a soft yellow glow can be the savior that banishes thousands of imaginary phantoms. The third fear we must decode is the shyness and panic children feel when faced with complete strangers. One From the 8th month, infants begin to distinguish clearly between familiar faces and those they have never seen before. A child's nervous system establishes an absolute circle of safety, and anyone outside is automatically viewed as a threat. A smile that is too bright or an outstretched hand trying to hold them can cause a minor psychological shock to a child. They don't understand the good intentions behind those actions, but only feel their privacy and boundaries are being invaded. The child will desperately clutch their mother's shirt or hide behind their father, like seeking the strongest, safe fortress. Forcing a child to say hello or shake hands with a stranger immediately only increases hostility and deep-seated anxiety. Imagine being picked up by a strange giant and kissed on the cheek. You would feel just as terrified and overwhelmed. This instinct historically helped ancient infants stay away from hostile tribes or those with bad intentions lurking around. Parents should lead by example, by greeting warmly first, giving the child time to observe and decide when it's safe to interact. And finally, the greatest fear marking a major life turning point: the school gates and the pain of separation. The first day of school is not the festival we imagine, but a painful emotional severance within the child's mind. The school gates opening wide look like a giant beast's mouth swallowing the child into a noisy, alien world. The school drum sounds dry and harsh, signaling the moment parents must let go so the child can walk alone. Fear of school is essentially separation anxiety, a mental pain when the secure anchor disappears from their sight. The child fears that if they step into that classroom, their parents will leave and never come back to take them home. An environment with too many new rules and unfamiliar peers causes the child's sensory system to crash severely. The shouting and playing of other children sometimes isn't joy, but rather chaotic noise that disturbs their inner peace. When facing fear, a child's body automatically releases a massive amount of cortisol and adrenaline into the bloodstream. These chemicals increase heart rate, tighten muscles, and push the body into an unconscious fight or flight state. That is why children often scream, thrash their limbs wildly, and completely ignore anything their parents say. Scolding a child in this moment is like pouring gasoline onto a fire burning in the brain's emotional center. Instead of punishment, the child's brain now needs a strong physical signal to know that all danger has passed. A tight hug, applying deep pressure to the body, will stimulate the release of oxytocin, the hormone of love and bonding. Oxytocin acts as a natural antidote, slowly defeating the cortisol levels and bringing the child's heart rate back to normal. The key to resolving all childhood fears is the principle of gradual exposure from a low level to a high level. If a child is afraid of dogs, don't force them to pet a big dog immediately. Start by looking at pictures of puppies. Then observe a gentle dog from a safe distance across the street while the child is holding their parent's hand tightly. Similarly with school, take the child to visit the campus on weekends when it's empty, so they get used to the physical space. Play on the slide in the schoolyard together, turning a once scary place into a happy memory filled with bright laughter. Every small step forward is a time the brain overwrites fearful memories with fresh, safe, and positive new experiences. When a child throws a tantrum in a supermarket because of a stranger, ignore other people's stares and prioritize your child's emotions. Carry the child to a quiet corner, sit at their eye level, and gently tell them that their parents are still here to protect them. Never lie to a child, such as saying an injection won't hurt, because that will permanently destroy their trust in you. Be honest but positive. The shot will pinch a little bit like an ant bite, but it will make you healthy, like a superhero. When darkness falls Instead of chasing away monsters, make a magical spray bottle together to destroy the phantoms. Giving a child a tool to defend themselves will help them regain control and feel much more confident in the dark. Every fear of a child is an important message they are trying to send to the complex world of adults. Instead of using scolding or force, we need to use love and deep empathy as the key to unlock the child's soul. Start by acknowledging that your child's fear is real and perfectly valid, instead of dismissing it with nothing to fear. A parent's understanding is the most powerful painkiller for psychological wounds that are invisible to the naked eye. Patiently accompany your child, holding their hand through fears so they see that the world remains a safe place. A tight hug before class, or a firm promise to pick them up on time, will be the most stable and reassuring anchor for them. We cannot completely erase fear, but we can teach children how to face and overcome it with growing confidence. Every time a child conquers a fear, their brain is trained to become stronger, more resilient, and more mature. Turn bedtime into a time to tell brave stories about great heroes who successfully overcame the terrifying darkness. Tell your child how you yourself used to be scared back in the day, so they know they are not alone or weird. When a child starts school, prepare a small item carrying their mother's scent, like a handkerchief in their pocket. This transitional object will act as an emotional anchor, helping the child stay calm when feeling lost in a strange environment. Consistency in a parent's actions is a prerequisite for building an environment of absolute safety for the child. If you promise to pick them up when the long hand points to 12, you must appear at exactly that specific moment. Just one missed appointment can cause all previous trust-building efforts to collapse and separation anxiety to flare up again. Remember that children learn how to regulate their emotions by observing how adults react to highly stressful situations. If parents show calmness and confidence, that energy will transfer to the child, helping them cool down their alarm system. Conversely, if parents panic and get angry, the child will truly believe that the current situation is an unmitigated disaster. The world in a child's eyes is a colorful painting, but one with dark patches that desperately need us to illuminate them. Don't let childhood fears become psychological ghosts that haunt a child well into their adult years. The journey of raising a brave child begins with understanding the screams and the trembling of today. Be a dedicated guide, the light that shows the way so your child can confidently explore the wonderful world around them. Childhood fears, if handled correctly, will become the very first bricks to build a person's lifelong resilience. Growing up, the child who once feared doctors might become a brave scientist pursuing brilliant new medical truths. The baby who once screamed in the dark could become an astronaut, ready to step into the vast unknown space. And the shy child hiding behind their mother's back will one day stand on a podium, confidently speaking to thousands. Our responsibility is not to violently uproot the weeds of fear, but to tenderly fertilize the seeds of true bravery. Tears of fear are not a sign of weakness, but rather the most honest language of a developing and sensitive soul. Listen to that language with all your heart, without judgment, without pressure, but purely with unconditional love. When you bend down to your child's eye level, you are not lowering your height, but elevating the child's soul. Thank you for joining us in diving deep into the complex and miraculous inner world of our beloved children. We hope this video has given you a fresh and more tolerant perspective whenever your child shows fear or weakness. Your patience today is the absolute firmest foundation for your child's unshakable self-confidence in the future. Happy children are not children who know no fear, but children who know they are always unconditionally protected. Let your home always be a peaceful, safe harbor where your child can return after battling their imaginary monsters. Your wide open arms are an invisible, magical shield protecting their fragile soul from all the storms of life. Please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next deep psychological journeys. Share your story and how you helped your child overcome fear in the comment section right below this video. Let's work together to build a community of wise parents, where love and profound understanding are always spread. Goodbye, and see you again, wonderful parents, in our next deeply meaningful and inspiring educational videos. Wishing you and your baby a good night's sleep, radiant smiles, and a peaceful childhood full of beautiful memories.